Learning languages has taught me patience, resilience, and it gave me access to a new side of the internet, and I am so grateful for that. And that's why in this podcast episode, I will share tips on how to learn a new language. The first tip is try to define why you want to learn that language because this will help you to keep going and not give up when you are going to confront challenges in your journey because learning a new language is full of ups and downs, and the downs are so bad because you feel like you're not making any progress and you start asking yourself, is it worth it? Am I wasting my time? Does this deserve all the pain and headaches? And remembering your why in those days will give you some motivation to keep going because as human beings, we seek a reason behind our actions. The second tip is choose just one platform at the beginning to avoid getting overwhelmed and stressed by having to deal with the mental pain of choosing which platform to use. And the same thing goes for YouTube channels, and please avoid subscribing to a lot of YouTube channels at the beginning because at the end you won't watch all of these YouTube channels, and also like I said, you will get overwhelmed by the amount of content and videos you have to watch by all these creators. So it is better to follow one or two good YouTube channels at the beginning and stick to them for a period of time before starting to diversify because less is more, and trying to complicate the process at the beginning will make you quit. The third tip is learn the basic words and verbs that are used in the daily life, and also learn some basic grammar, and do not fall for the trap of trying to learn all the grammar rules at once by watching a playlist of grammar rules because that will give you the illusion you're progressing in grammar, but you are not. And I can speak from personal experience because when I started learning Japanese, I wanted to progress fast in grammar and get it all of my way by watching a playlist of grammar rules, and I thought that I was learning and progressing in grammar, but I wasn't because I didn't practice all of these grammar rules, and I felt so overwhelmed every time I opened my book notes and I saw all of these grammar rules. So please do not fall into this trap and give your brain time to process grammar rule by practicing it before learning a new one. And do not obsess too much over grammar, but do not ignore it because it is important. And do not listen to those people who say, do not learn grammar, it's not that important, and you can just learn it from listening and watching movies and series. Wrong, because there is some languages that have a complicated grammar that contains a lot of nuances and you need to learn about them. And also, watching series or movies alone is not enough to learn grammar because there will be times where you will come across a grammar rule that you won't understand and you will have to look it up and understand the logic behind it. The next tip is watch comprehensible input videos after learning some basic vocabulary because this method will help you to practice the words you know and learn new vocabulary and the phrase structure, and also it will help you to improve your listening skills and practice the grammar rules you know and notice new grammar rules that you can learn. And this will help you to improve faster because you are immersing yourself in that language and you are trying to look for clues and words you know to understand what is the overall message behind this video. And this is one of my favorite learning methods because you can do it anytime, and it is the most enjoyable step in learning a language because you can do it while relaxing. And my advice for you is to watch the same comprehensible input video more than once because the more you watch it, the more you notice new words and understand more, and even it helps you to track your progress because there is no better feeling than watching an old video and finding out that you understood more than the last time you watched it. The next tip is practice vocabulary by making your own phrases, and I know Some of you will say, I don't know how am I going to make a phrase because I don't know all the words. And my answer is Google exists. If you don't know a word or how to express what you want to say, you can simply Google it and write it down, because this method will help you to identify the gaps in your knowledge, and you will be surprised to discover that the words you memorized and you thought you learned, they were forgotten when you try to build phrases because you didn't practice them. And practicing vocabulary by speaking or making phrases will help you to remember them. And if you get stuck and you don't know what to talk about, what phrases to make, try to go to your notes and pick just one word and try to make a phrase out of it. And let's say, for example, I am learning English and I opened my notebook and I chose the verb to ignore. To make phrase out of it, I will say I ignore the people I hate, and then I will check on DeepL or Google Translator if I made a mistake or not. Next step is do shadowing practice so we can improve your pronunciation, and practice speaking out loud so we can get used to speaking that language. And you can start with doing simple phrases and then move to do more complicated ones. The next step is keep record of all the progress you've made, because this will help to motivate you to keep going in the days where you feel like you're not making any progress, even though you are. It's just you are not seeing those results immediately, and you start feeling frustrated and you start having mental breakdowns and you think about quitting and you feel like you are a failure because you have a lot of things to learn and you're still behind in your learning journey. And I want you to know that this is not true, and you're actually making a progress. You're just not seeing the results now because your brain is learning something new and it needs time to process the information and make connections, and that's why you sometimes have those moments where it suddenly clicks. So I advise you to keep record of every single win or achievement you did and be proud of yourself for pushing through all the difficulties you encountered in your journey of learning a language. The next step is listen a lot so your ears are going to get used to the sounds of that language and they can understand what is being said, so you can give an answer if one day you met and talked to someone who speaks that language. And try to keep challenging your listening skills by trying to watch videos without subtitles or watch video on a speed 1.225 or 1.5 instead of 1. Even if you find it hard at the beginning, keep doing it so you can become comfortable with it, because you're not going to have subtitles in real life when you're gonna speak to someone from that country who speaks a little bit faster. The next step is take it slow and do not overwhelm yourself by trying to do all of these steps at once, and take baby steps, because what matters is being consistent, and you don't have to study for 1 hour or 2 hours every single day. You can just study for 10 minutes or 5 minutes by watching a YouTube video or consuming some social media content in that language or doing flashcards, and that's it. Because a lot of people have this misconception that they need to study for 1 hour every single day to learn a language, which makes them give up when they are busy and do not have the free time they had to study for 1 hour or more, and they're like, OMG, I used to study for 2 hours or 1 hour every single day to learn a language, and now I am just doing 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and that's embarrassing, so I need to stop and give up in my learning journey. And these people, they underestimate the compound effect of those 10 minutes or 15 minutes that were dedicated to learn the language. And even when I started learning Japanese, I only studied for 5 minutes because this sends a message to my brain that I can do it, which made me want to do it more. And even in the busy days where I only study for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I try to be proud of myself for being consistent And I want you to do the same. The final tip is try to learn from other people's mistakes, because this will help you to avoid a lot of unnecessary mistakes that will waste your time, and also this will make your journey less painful. And I hope that this episode was helpful, and if you have any questions about this topic, you can ask me in the comment section, and I will make sure to make another episode where I answer your questions.